Orthotic boots are my lifesaver. A lot of people who've got CMT or muscle wastage conditions wear something called AFOS, but I wear these boots. I was given these 3 years ago. I think it was like late 2020. And what these boots do, the sole is moulded to the shape of my feet. So my feet are very arched, my toes curling, and my foot pushes to the outside. So the sole inside is moulded to that. And then around the boot, to stop my foot from rolling, it is reinforced with like a metal sheet down there. The boot itself is roughly about a size 5.5 because my feet pull back. Where they would be around a size 7 or 8, they pull back, they pull into a size 5. It's got this heel on. It's hard to see, but this heel comes out. It's a wider wedge, which also stops the foot from rolling. And it also makes me about 1.5 inches taller, which is always a bonus. From being young, we knew there was something very different about me because I was falling over, couldn't fit into normal shoes. I was much weaker than the rest of the boys at school. Couldn't run. I loved to play football, but I just couldn't play it. You know, we knew that something wasn't right. It took quite a few years for me to get diagnosed, but at 12 years old, finally went to see a neurologist who diagnosed me with this thing called CMT, Charcot-Marie-Tooth. And back in 1992, when I was 12 years old, there was no such thing as Google, and we were still dinosaurs walking around. So we couldn't go and, you know, have a look and investigate what Charcot-Marie-Tooth was. We just took the information from the doctor. Struggled through school quite badly, got bullied by, you know, people that were able, and they knew that I was different. I was walking very different. I remember getting called slug feet in an assembly because we used to have to take our shoes off and you'd walk on this hard floor, on the gym floor, to collect awards. I was very academic at school, so I was always winning awards, and I hated having to get up in front of the other children and walk. So then I left school and I got my first job, and the world around me has somewhat changed, but I then quickly began to realise that the CMT was deteriorating. So I turned to drink and smoking, which I guess a lot of people do when they're 17, 18 and in their early 20s. But I think the drink and the smoking affected me and my peripheral nerves. 3 years ago, I was given orthotic boots, which I will talk about on another video. I wouldn't have worn them in my younger years, but I wish I had. I wish I'd been told about them when I was in my teens, because the boots have helped me do so much more in life, that get me walking as near as normal as I possibly can. So here I am. I've always been embarrassed about having CMT, always tried to hide it. It's always been a conversation that I've always struggled with. But for the last 3 or 4 years, I've gone public with it, and I'm raising awareness because people need to know. You know, these could be your friends and your family, but there are still people out there who have got CMT who feel isolated, and nobody should ever feel like that. And when I first started coming to the gym, I used to try and squat using a free weight bar, and it never went well because I couldn't balance. I didn't have the orthotic boots at the time. And people would pass comment on to me saying, "You're not getting deep enough, you're not getting low enough." You're damn right I wasn't getting deep and low enough, because I've got like really deformed feet and really weak ankles. And if the Smith machine still isn't right for you, you can always use a leg press as an alternative. And if you still feel unsafe using a Smith machine, you could put a bench underneath. So if anything was to happen, that will break your fall. So for me to use a Smith machine, I like to keep my feet fairly narrow, just a little bit more narrow than shoulder width apart, slightly in front, putting more dominance onto the quads. Keep your head facing forwards, lift the bar, and when you go down, nice and slow, legs parallel with the floor and back up, keeping a nice velocity of movement.